The only time I drink an energy drink is not even like by itself, it's as a shot, you know, doing bombs or whatever. So adrenaline for you, I don't sleep that night. I don't sleep all the next day. It don't matter if I have one shot or five.
I didn't feel it at all. I just
I'm really,
I cannot sleep when I do undertaker.
I am just a coffee drinker, and then I like, the milk.
All right, all right,
Usually has
all
Melio,
right.
which is the most caffeine soda in the world.
So,
Melio has way more caffeine than Mountain Dew.
Okay,
That's why they don't
let's
sell
bring it
Melio
all
anymore.
in,
It's
bring it
only
all
$1.
in, bring it back in. Hello. Okay, so how are you guys feeling the more you get through the role plays? Are you getting more comfortable with the script? Are you feeling yourself knowing what the section or even the paragraph is about so that you don't sound robotic, but it's a smooth flow and transition?
Some of it,
working on
like the last parts of it, because we just started them.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are the ones I was like,
Right, so that's gonna happen, that's why we're gonna do it now, and you'll keep doing it straight through going forward. But yes, you want to be getting more comfortable and more familiar with what's coming up so that you're paraphrasing but still being able to hit. You don't wanna condense it too much and leave major stuff out because there are keys to it, but just knowing what is coming so that you can make it conversational versus feeling like you have to just only focus on this. I can't even listen because as your clients chime in and say like, yeah, that's right. You don't want to just talk over or ignore them. You don't want to, again, alpha call control. So you want to, and then keep going, but you want to be able to do that and sound like you know what's going on and not like you're reading. You don't want to sound like you're reading. So take it home, keep reading, reread it, get as comfortable as you can so that it does become yours and you know what's going on and what the purpose is versus just reading it and it not really making sense because you haven't spent time getting to know the information. Okay, so scenarios. I thought I had a cheat sheet because I've gone through them, I've checked them, I've made this, but I don't know what a cheat sheet is. So, okay, mod one. Mod one, not mod one. Role play scenario number one.
what page?
36.
36, 37.
36 should be the first one. 1 and 2 are the ones that you went through
Oh, these.
as a group or as while you were doing your role play. So, talk to me, Miss K. Crystal. Actually, Miss C. Crystal. I'm looking at C out the front of my eye. I said K. Crystal, but C. Crystal.
I didn't write any of it down, I just went through it, so what is it? Oh, female, okay, yeah, this one, she was cut off because she's too heavy.
Number 1.
Number one?
Oh, I thought we were skipping those ones, I thought we were going to
No.
3.
What I'm talking about?
Oh, Bob, I was Bob for this one.
You're Bob, okay, Bob.
And because I had heart surgery and I was bipolar, I believe that's all it was. Graded, wait, no, heart surgery. Modified. Did you need anything else?
Okay, so I found my key. Okay, so number 1, modified.
Modified because a year ago he had heart surgery. And if he didn't have heart surgery, he would have just been graded because he's bipolar.
Right. And his medication also.
Well, yeah, there's also.
Mhm. Okay. Does anyone disagree?
No, but I have a question.
Please.
When we're putting in the answers to all these questions, am I gonna tell us whether it's level 1, 5 grade?
Nope. You are going to depending on how they answer the questions, you are going to determine whether you're going to quote them level graded or modified. So there is no cheat sheet. There is them answering, and the only cheat sheet is The color coding on the script, the blue section would be modified, the green section would be graded. If they answer no to everything, then they are level.
So what happens if we mess up and misquote them,
Then
graded instead of modified?
that's gonna make underwriting very difficult for you. Because then underwriting is going to quote them the other option, which is gonna be a lot more expensive than what you quoted them, and it's gonna be a lot more difficult for you to have that conversation on why they're getting a lot less coverage for more money.
But
Go ahead.
I'm trying to
They-
figure out how to,
You said you,
so when, I don't understand though, when we put in the quote, we're not telling them what we're quoting them.
Well, you tell them you've been, approved for
hold on
the,
1 second.
I'm not talking about approval. I'm talking
Go
about-
ask your question, because I don't even know if I understand your question.
So, report the script to me, to,
In mod 3, when you're asking the health question, and you did listen to the day 2 video or whatever video that, okay. So in mod 3, when you're asking them the health questions, depending on how they answer those health questions will let you know whether you're gonna run them level graded or modified.
right, no, I understand that part, but I'm saying, so, on the off chance that we miss something, you know, let's just say we misread this, misunderstand the surgery part, you know, like I had to get clarification from you about that earlier. So and we misquote, we put in the quote, we're not telling them what we're quoting them, level, modified, or graded. We're not telling them, okay, I'm gonna quote you modified because of X, Y, Z, and I'm only gonna quote you, we're not verbalizing that to them. on
So
our
when
phones.
you're in mod 6 and you do the congratulations, you've been approved for the top tier program, the level program, or the graded program, or the modified program. You're
Oh,
going
and
to tell
because
them.
we tell them that before we go to underwriting, that's where it comes in, and then underwriting's like, eh, and that's where we have to backtrack if we mess up.
Underwriting's gonna say, okay, now that they've asked all the health questions, and they're going to then say, okay, I'm gonna review this information, it's gonna take about a minute. Then they're gonna say the client qualifies for the level plan, and at that moment, you're going to already have your rate calculator up in case they pull an approval or they give them an approval for something you did not quote them for. And that, at that time, then you're going to have to say, okay, well, you were, because it could be anything that causes that to happen. They could tell you no to everything, they don't take any meds, but then underwriting pull up their med history and they are modified because of something they never told you about. So rather than having underwriting say, okay, well, the client qualifies for modified, so that means it's gonna be $5,000 worth of coverage for $120 a month, where you told them it'd be $99 a month for $10,000 worth of coverage level, then you're gonna say, okay, well, customer, you are still qualified, you are still approved, which is wonderful, but being that this medication came up, that means that you're actually going to be approved for this amount of coverage for this amount of money. So that does take a lot of, you have to build that rapport, that's why we're hoping to know ahead of time, and so you've kind of prepped them for this, because the more information I know, the better I'm able to quote you. If that does happen, it does require you to do some dancing, because you're gonna have to try to justify, okay, we still got it, which is good, but it's a lot less coverage. That you don't wanna focus on the fact that it's less coverage and more money. You're gonna focus on the approval. We still got the approval, but remember they were, if they check your med history, if Prosperity sees it, everyone's gonna see it. But we still have the approval, so that means that you get this amount of coverage for this amount of money.
have you ever had that happen where they say, well, I'm gonna still pay more money to get the same amount of coverage? Is
Mhm.
that
And that's
normal
part
or
of
is
you-
that not as common?
That doesn't happen as often, but sometimes people do. They've been set on, no, I want to get that amount, and they know they might have had a medication they didn't tell you about, or they're like, let's just keep it where it is, and they'll pay the extra, but usually you just have an amount that is ready. So on the rate calculator, and this is a little hard to explain to you guys without you really seeing or having access to the rate calculator. But on the rate calculator, and actually that's how we'll start the day tomorrow. I'll do a Zoom for all of you guys to look in on, and I'll share my screen so that you can see it. But on the rate calculator, it will give you an option for level graded or modified. So you'll have your calculator up so that if they get rated up or down, you'll be able to see how much coverage they can get for the amount of money they've already given you the green light for. So let's say they went with the approval for $12,000 of coverage for $78 a month, and this is level. You'll have your rate calculator up so you know how much coverage they'll get at about $78 if they end up graded or if they end up modified. Or let's say it was modified and it's $100 a month for $10,000 worth of coverage. You'll have your rate calculator up so that you can gear how much coverage they can get for graded around $100, how much coverage, which will probably be $3,000 more for about $100, or level, which might give them $5,000 or $10,000 more for that same $100. So you're able to jump in and say, so you'll get this amount of coverage and it'll still only be this amount.
And does the underwriting, like if it was in the case of like a medication or whatever the reason why it would be for them to get dropped to a lower level, would the underwriter tell them like, okay, I see this, like so they're aware of exactly why?
So usually because you guys have had so much conversation and they didn't tell you, the client's usually like, I don't know what that is, or oh no, I don't know. But the underwriter will say, okay, so it looks like you have this on your med history, or they may just ask them, we see you've been prescribed this, was it prescribed for, and give them two options, get the yes or no's. Sometimes they'll just come back and say, this client qualifies for the modified BEV policy. It's showing that they've been prescribed and give whatever medication it is. It could be one, it could be several. Most times the clients act as if they're not aware or they forget, but you just want to focus on, well, at least we still have the approval, so that's good. And if Prosperity sees it with checking the med history, it's on their med history, so everyone will see it. So you want to, again, focus on the fact that they do still have the approval, because they could simply not qualify for coverage. So we still have the approval, which is great. That means that you'll get this amount for this amount, and usually they'll be okay with it. Sometimes they're not, but that's why you want to present it to them as a positive, as opposed to Prosperity or the underwriter saying, they qualify for modified. I see that you requested a $10,000 face amount, so that means it's going to be, and they're going to give them the rate for the same face amount that you submitted, but at the modified rate, which is usually substantially more than it would have been if they were level or graded. Make sense?
Yes, but, so my question then is, so at the point where we say, okay, yes, congratulations, Mel, the approval just hit my screen, it looks like we qualified for the top tier program. Seems like if we say level, grade, or modified, like we can inadvertently keep opening our mouths and inserting foot, whether or not we made the mistake or there's something in their MIB that we didn't know about. So why not?
They have the responsibility to let you know. All you're going off of is how they've answered the questions and the medication they've told you about. If they answer incorrectly or give you an incorrect medication or don't tell you a medication, it's on the client at that point to be. That's why I would say the MIB sees everything. In order for me to find you the best options, the more information I know, the better I can quote you. If there's something they didn't tell you, that's not on you.
No, I understand that. I understand why wouldn't we just leave the level, graded, modified, like stop at top tier program and leave the level, graded, modified program verbiage out completely so that we're not opening our mouths and inserting foot possibly.
Because regardless, the rate you give them is going to be associated with that tier. So if they don't care what the name is, it's more about the rate that's going to change that they're going to be focusing on. So really, you could call it Blue Shield, you can call it Carpet, and you can call it Rain. At the end of the day, it's the rates that are really the concern. And those rates are what's tied to level, graded, or modified. So they don't even hear level, graded, or modified. They're focusing on the amount of coverage and how much it costs.
They probably don't know what that
Okay,
is.
I mean, and I understand that, and so when we go over the quotes, I mean, I feel like we should prep them, like, you know, these are based on what you told us, and once we call over to underwriting, as long as there's nothing that's changed, you know, as long as they don't find any additional information, these quotes will stand.
That is what you're conveying to them without giving them too much. That's literally what you're doing. When you prep them, when you're telling them to make sure they give you everything, I'm gonna try everything that I can do. You're preparing them for all of that. You don't have to give them all of that, but that is basically that's what you're doing. We're calling over, they're gonna check this and, they're looking into all of this for you. So again, if something comes up, you have had a conversation with the client, you built that rapport, you're talking to them and letting them know. That's why I don't make any promises. I'm gonna see what I can do. You put it on them to tell you what's going on so that you can find them the best options. And again, if something comes up when you call over to underwriting, that's why I tell them this is important. They're gonna look into all of this. Remember, they're the ones that check the med history and so on and so forth. So you knowing that and understanding that means that this is, again, what you are conveying to the client. We're not just reading through it. We want to make sure that they understand all the stuff that we're saying to them. Right now, you're getting used to saying the words, but you want to make sure that they understand as you move through the mods.
Okay, and then my next question is on medications, like, just looking at one right now, Arimidex. It says refill within last 3 years, right? So if they've been taking it for more than 3 years, let's say they're currently taking it, but they've been taking it for more than 3 years, what is that?
If it was refilled in the last 3 years, whatever that says, whatever.
That prescription provider's law. So if they're currently taking it, that's within 3 years. So yes, it would be whatever is
So it
associated.
doesn't matter if they've been taking it for 10 years.
If they're
If it's
currently
been
taking
refilled in
it,
the last
then
3 years, it don't,
some of them, and it'll let you know
I
if
feel like
they-
I'm reading it backwards, is why I'm trying to clarify it, because when I read that, I feel like it's, if they've been taking it for at least 3 years, then they're good. And if they've been taking it less than 3 years, then, and they're, are still currently taking it, then that's where they fall short, which is why I wanted to make sure that I was, because it just, some things aren't.
if it was prescribed 10 years ago, but it was refilled within the last 3 years, whatever it says is what has to go. But if it was prescribed 10 years ago and it wasn't refilled within the last 7 years, whatever that says, since it wasn't refilled in the last 3 years, then that no longer applies.
you just need to spend a second reading through it, and it'll
Yeah.
make more sense.
Because it
It's
is
also-
confusing, I
hold
get
on,
what
Ms.
you're saying.
Toy. It's also too because you're kind of here, but you not all the way yet. So you're reading it, but you're not familiar with it, and just don't overthink it. Take it as literally what it's saying. So some of them, like we went over when we're going through the prescription, the RX explanation, it'll say if they've been taking it consistently for 2 years, then they will go level, or if they've had breaks in the prescription, then it would be modified.
Right, like I see one right now, it says if current treatment or reoccurrence, and there's no coverage. If treatment-free is greater than 3 years, then they're level.
So if they've had no treatment for more than 3 years, then it would be level. If they were taking it and now they're taking it again, then it's modified.
Right, so if, for example, this Aramacin, they took it 4 years ago, they haven't taken it in the last 4 years, but they were prescribed in the last 5, and they disclosed that, well, about 5 years ago, I took Aramacin for cancer, but I haven't been taking it for about 4 years now, then they're level. But if they are currently taking it or had a reoccurrence, then there's no coverage. So does that, even if they've had, let's say they started taking it 7 years ago and then they had to reoccur on 5 years.
They are supposed to disclose that information because how it's asked, the underwriters would probably ask. But if they don't disclose that information, then that's where the Prosperity has 2 years. If anything happens to them, they pass in 2 years and they go back and see that it was a reoccurrence,
Right.
then that would affect the
Right, all
payout.
policies,
Mhm.
all insurance companies have
Right.
2 years.
And the 3 year thing that it's saying, whichever one you brought up about 3 years, technically they're seeing up to 5 to maybe even 7 years of med history. So that's kind of a note to us and to underwriting. Yes, it's been within 5 years, so it's showing up, so we see it. But because they haven't filled a prescription in 3 years, then it would not, it's not gonna knock them graded, modified, it means that it's level.
Okay.
So just spend time with it again, with the health questions portion of it, don't rush through it and feel like you need to know or go quick. Take time, ask questions, ask follow-up questions, because it's gonna make more sense to you and be it's a lot more credibility for you to spend time there and ask them the questions, and it also reaffirms the seriousness of the fact that you're asking these questions, so you can have this information and they do have the right quote. So by the time you get to underwriting, if you've done your job like you should and taken your time, worn the hats, got serious when you need to get serious, they should know that, oh, I didn't tell her about this, or oh, I do remember this, or my doctor said that, but it wasn't for that. They'll know that it's the bigger issue is you're not even gonna care about the name of it. It's more so everything else. But hopefully, again, prior to that, all of this is already brought up. And if not, then it's probably something that the client knows they weren't all the way open with you about, and they'll understand the change in approval. Yes? Okay. All right, so that is one, and that is modified. Number 2, non-smoker, still working, wants cremation and to leave funds behind. Back up to 1 and Crystal with the C.
Mm-hmm.
What roughly do you remember what you quoted them?
I was Bob, so I think she quoted me 20,000 at like 150 or something like that. She took I think she did 25 at 150, and then like 20 at like 100, and then like 15 at 80 or something. I don't exactly
Was that
remember.
roughly what it was that you
Roughly.
did?
That was roughly.
Okay, and why did you go high on those?
Okay, I went high on it because he had heart surgery the last year.
No, the amount of the monthly. So when it's high, it's more so like how much they can afford. Why did you feel like 150, 180 were the amounts that you wanted to quote them, the monthly premium amount?
The reason that I wanted to was he only wanted a certain amount of money. You know, he didn't want any more than that. And so I gave him the lower end of it because that's what he wanted, okay?
That's higher end though. 150, 180, those are pretty high monthly premiums.
No, she didn't say 180. She said like 150, 180. For high,
150,
middle, low.
180. $80 being the low amount, like the lowest one is still pretty high.
15,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 15.
Okay, so keep in mind so only because you got there, but your reason behind getting there is not, I want to focus on that, because he travels often, which means that may not be something that he has a concern with. That may be a small amount. He may be able to afford 150, 180. Typically, the people that you're speaking to, an $80 being the lowest option that you're giving them is going to scare them away. Like, I didn't even expect to get this. Why my least option is 80? Oh, you probably want to bring it down. He travels often, so again, from your conversation, if that sounded like he would be good with those higher premium amounts, great. But we want to focus on making it so that they have a high, a middle, and a low. There really is no low option there. That low is still substantially high.
But wouldn't it be high because it's
It's
a modified
modified.
policy?
That's what I was
So for
thinking.
25,000 unmodified, that would be like 150 a month. And
So
for-
yes,
Probably-
Yeah, so that's why
probably more.
she did it higher to make it more realistic, because we don't have
but
access to
'Cause
the
I wanted to
actual
leave
rate
money behind.
calculator.
okay, so I understand that, but when it comes to response blocking and keeping in mind, okay, they may want all of this, but can they afford for, again, $80 to be the lowest option that you provide to them as an option? If he's saying all of this and talking about all of that, but you know that this coverage is going to be very high, then you want to let him know. Hopefully we can get you approved, and finding something that's affordable is huge. But the main thing is we want to make sure that we have enough coverage so that Sally, Jesse, and Raphael aren't having to come out of pocket for your final arrangements. So you still want to quote them something that would be in a range that if they can afford $80, or they've been thinking high this whole time, but realistically these rates are high, you know, with that, with that bipolar, the rates may be a little high. So hopefully we can even get you approved. If we can't get you approved, making sure we find something that's affordable is my next thing. And $80 may not be affordable for just the regular person as the low option. So you may want a response block. And okay, I know you want to do all of this, and I would love, hopefully it's something that they can afford, but you don't want them to have to pick an $80 premium as the low option because not many people can afford that. And again, depending on how the conversation's been going, in this situation, because he is a disabled vet and he travels often and he wants to leave funds behind, that may not be a bad idea, but you guys have to keep in mind that people may want these things, but then not be traveling and not have the funds or the means to do so. So as a professional, knowing these rates are going to be high because they're modified, that's where you want to be response blocking and bring them to the understanding that, sometimes we want to do the world, but really I'm hoping we can even get you approved. And even if we can't cover everything and leave something behind, my goal is to make it so that Charlie and the Angels are not having to come out of pocket for your final expenses. So you still want to make sure that you give them that option to at least cover their final expenses. If bring it down to $60 being the low, maybe $80 being the middle, or $85 being the middle, and then $105, $110 being a high. You still want to have that understanding that we have to make it something that they're going to be able to afford and give them options. They can go up if they want to, but the whole thought process behind quote logic is, okay, I know he's saying this, but I know these modified rates going to be a little high. So let me prepare them and let them know, okay, you're bipolar, so the rates may be up there, but sometimes we can't even get approved. If we can get approved, we're going to try to make sure we find something that you can maintain on a month-to-month basis. Okay, first.
So last week, you had said that we want to get information from them, like what they can afford and, how much insurance they're looking for without directly asking them. What is the rationale of not just being direct and being around the bush and like asking?
Some people do. You should be able to get that information without asking that because it is a little stark. And you're talking about building a report, and you're going to ask me how much I can afford. If you're going to do it somewhere around mile 4, mile 5, after you've built rapport, then you can kind of, okay, so on a monthly basis, what were you expecting to spend? Or you're spending this amount on a premium if they have coverage already. So you're already spending $120 a month. Number one, you know that they have a policy, they're maintaining it, they know about keeping coverage in place. But number two, you know that you may not want to pitch them something that's that high because then combined with their other policies, if you're selling alongside, then you want to have, so it's so many pieces to it. If you are actively listening, you should be able to pick up on it. And that's also why I give them 3 amounts so that they can have a range without sounding so salesy, like how much you trying to spend on insurance. No.
So if we're not clear and we want to clarify right before we do the quote, is that something that we're going to be coached on if we end up saying, what is something that you feel like is affordable and how much coverage are you looking for?
You can ask that, but again, with all the information you have, you should be able to kind of already have a gauge for that. And also you're giving them a high, a middle, and a low. So those ranges should be enough to where there's wiggle room. And again, we'll give them high. That's kind of like, that's a little high. A middle where you think that from your conversation, and ask questions. Ask questions in general so you can kind of gauge where they are because you're talking to this person. And asking it directly may seem a little more salesy than not. It's a little more salesy than not. But you've already gained enough understanding on where they are, what they do, how they're speaking to you. You can usually have a pretty good idea of where it is they're at. You get to those 3 quotes and they're like, okay, well, maybe at that point you can ask, so what were you thinking on spending? But typically you don't even have to do that because you've already gotten so much insight on them, where they are, and you can decide for yourself because at this point they're your friend, you're a professional, so you'll get a feel for those things. Okay.
See?
Oh, sorry.
I was just saying,
I know.
Sorry. Yes.
Well, I guess I figured it out myself because I was thinking about Bob. The modified plan for his age would be like per $1,000, $135 a month for just 1,000. But I see when you calculate the rate with the model factor of 0.09, like that would literally take it like a 6-year-old from $122 a month for $1,000 to $20,000 for only $224 a month. So for like $100 more a month, you get $19,000 more dollars. So sometimes it ends up you're not really getting the lower dollar amounts because it face value.
Oh, insert view.
You just said so many words. If anybody knows what you're saying, then I apologize. I'm clueless. Did anybody pick up on that?
I was reading.
Don't read that. That is a long version of looking into the rate calculator, which you'll be able to see.
Well, I
right
was
off
doing the
the bat.
math on my phone and then I didn't realize it until I just.
Good to have, just because it's information on how it works, but even processing that, and again, I'm doing this, and I have no clue what you were just trying to ask me, so I apologize if that's me.
So he,
But-
Just the math.
Okay, so.
I answered my own question at the end of the day.
Well, I'm glad, 'cause
Yeah.
I Okay, what's going on over here, ladies?
she was just asking me how we figured out the calculations. There's a showing on the bottom of this. It tells you how to calculate their premiums.
Yeah, I don't do that. Never had to. That's information to have. You won't ever need it, so
Right.
don't stress yourself out. You guys will have the beautiful rate calculator access as soon as
Okay,
your
that's all I-
appointments come through. Speaking of appointments, sorry, go ahead.
That's how I was figuring out the rates on
Ah.
these. I was using that.
More power to you.
I was like, oh, this is easy.
So, Toy, K Crystal, and C Crystals. Y'all may get an email from Prosperity. Andrew's on top of it, but keep an eye out for the email. It may want you guys to respond with an explanation if you get that email at all. So just keep your eyes peeled for a Prosperity email. They are moving you guys through the appointments, getting all your stuff in order. So they, I think, have some follow-up questions. May have follow-up questions for you.
So I got my email broken to Prosperity.
What? Okay, good. That's
The
good.
email's gonna come to our work email or our personal?
Work. Okay, Karen for the win. Good. That's good.
said good.
No, that's good. That is very good. So that means that you have your appointment, which is awesome. So they should start trickling in soon. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Yes, let's keep it moving. So did we get all the questions answered? Was that just the first one?
That was the first, that was the second one.
No, that was
That was first, sorry, my bad.
Woo! Okay, let's do this. Let's do number 2. Miss, okay, Miss, okay,
I did.
sure.
Okay, so she's a 50-year-old female. She's not non-smoker and still working. She wants to be cremated and still have funds left behind. Her weight is within range, and the congestive heart failure in 2006 is old enough that it does not matter. The breathing for asthma that she's currently taking, make sure I have that right.
What do you have?
I didn't have a pen today, so, I did not write. Because she's taking it for asthma, she's still eligible for level. And the Prolix, for seizures is also still level. So she was quoted with level. I thought that we were supposed to try and figure it out, and Madison and I was confused on that, so we just threw random numbers out there, honestly.
That's fine.
But
I just want more so the thought process behind what you would be voting.
so the thing is that she's still working. I honestly would have asked her when I found out that she was working, which I didn't in the run through with Madison, but I would have tried to find out if she currently has any other policies through work, because I know that they offer stuff like that, and trying to gather like what she's paying out on other policies, and if it's going to be a standalone or, a policy in addition to what she already has, to be able to determine the price that I would quote her. But the cremation, it made it, it's less expensive than burial, so I didn't go very high. I think I did 60 and 40 or something. Just because even with that, and it was like, I think I did 35, 20, and 10.
Okay, so good thought process for most of that. I will say that when they're working, we're gonna assume that they have coverage with work. We're also gonna assume that that coverage is going to go away. Not just assume, but that's what most people working have some kind of little policy with work, but you usually don't even see it because it comes out of your check. It might be $10 a month for $30,000 worth of coverage. It's group rates. So
Right.
usually with work policies, we don't even care about them because we know that once they retire, if you outlive your job, which most people expect to, hope to, pray for, you're not going to have that coverage once you retire.
So that's my question, is there are a lot of, employer group coverages that continue after retirement for.
But the
people.
rates typically shoot up or you have to make extra steps to maintain that coverage, which takes you out of the group rate quote or the premium amount to a much larger individual plan.
Cobra rate.
A lot of times you also have to do the medical exams and do things to prove that you can maintain this coverage or that you qualify for this coverage. So realistically, and that's why in the product, when we break down the product in Mod 5, we say a lot of times people don't realize that the policies with work or so on and so forth may go up. We are going to let them know as a professional without making them think or questioning. A lot of people don't even know that those policies go away after you retire. Or even if they are working, that would be the perfect time to implement someplace throughout the call prior to providing quotes, your story about someone that worked and lost coverage after retirement.
Yeah,
So there.
that's why I was stuck. I don't know anybody that's retired like that.
So questions like that, stories like that you are stuck on, remember, I am going to try to touch base with all of you guys to get some insight on where you are with your stories, but make sure that if you do not have, we have to be our own advocate. So if you don't have something, you need it, remind me, ask me, sit with someone outside, make sure that you have stories for all these scenarios because they are going to be vital for you to be able to move on to taking calls and getting your point across and being able to response block selling. So stories are perfect for response block selling because you're dropping these in there as little bits of knowledge for them without saying, you're so dumb for not knowing that you lose cut, because a lot of people don't know. So a story is a perfect way for you to get them to realize that, think about that, and for you to present what we have. This is wonderful because regardless of what happens with that other policy, you know that this is going to be with you your whole life, and it's there for you regardless of if you have 7 other policies that expire because they're term, because they're with your job, because whoever knows what, the rates keep going up, whatever the case may be, you know that the policy you're offering them is permanent whole life. It's priced locked. It's not going away after you stop working. You can say that it's not going to go away when you stop working because they're working and they think they have a policy with work that may be there forever. You're dropping these little nuggets so that they know that this is what they need, regardless of what else they may have. So yeah, work policies, you don't even need to dig or deep dive too much because most of the time they don't know because it comes right out of their check and it's next to nothing. But it's next to nothing and comes right out of their check because it's basically worth nothing if they don't die while they're employed. Yes? But good job with, again, how you got to knowing she was level. Another thing with that is you can be a little high with those people that are still working, and she's young. She's 50-something. So her rates are going to be low. That's probably one of the cheapest level at 50, 51, 55. Those rates are going to be really low. So she could probably get $35,000 worth of coverage for $100 a month. So you can max her out and it'll just be probably your high. So you can go with a 35, a 30, and a 25 and still have like a nice amount of wiggle room. This is just me throwing numbers out there without looking, but
20,000, she's about $72 a month.
see, so
yeah.
that's a nice middle. You can go up for a high and then maybe give her a $65-ish or something because she is still working. So you don't have to be extremely low with that. She's working.
Well, you don't want to be too low anyways, because
You
even
wanna
though she's
give
in
yourself-
cremation, she said she wants
Let's
funds
leave
left
money behind.
behind.
And
so-
not even that, also, yeah, she wants to leave money behind. You also don't wanna go too low, because if you have to come back behind with the hardship option, you don't wanna give yourself bare bones to work with because you've gone too low.
And she's only 50, so the price is gonna go up.
The cost of
Hopefully, if
living,
she
She's
lives-
60.
she's 50.
She is 60, 1960.
Oh, 59. Yeah, my mom's born in 59 and she's 60.
She'll be 61 on March 19th. It is 2021.
Well,
60 plus 60
Even
is
though
120.
I mean, my great aunt still lives to 102 years old. So I'm saying, if
No,
she
I'm
lives
just saying, she's
it'd
not
probably be
50,
costing
so
more too, so
I'm
you
just
don't
saying
wanna
with
go
the
She's
age,
closer to 60.
she's 60 and she's gonna be 61 March 19th. Cause it's 2021.
Okay, so again, the cost of living going up is something you always want to touch on, because that's real and it is important when thinking about having something for a very, very long time. So good. I like that you guys are starting to get it. Ladies, my favorite remote ladies. Not my favorite ladies, my favorite remote ladies.
Is that what you're going with?
I'll say it every time. You guys have questions? Yeah, just say, yes, you good? Is it making sense? Okay, so we got one yes. Okay, Miss Madison is good. All right, perfect. Number 3.
That's an NQ.
Number 3. So, no, not qualified, not
Based on
qualified.
her weight.
Oh, yeah, she's too big.
Yeah, she's a big girl.
She's a big girl.
She's a big girl and she would not qualify. So height and weight definitely goes into consideration when determining health. Unfortunately, you don't even want to say unfortunate. You want to try to look at the positive. I will have one of my counterparts, coworkers that have access to guarantee issue coverage give you a call back. Make sure that you're asking height and weight. I know on one of these height and weight was left off, so I apologize for that. But make sure you're asking. If you do not ask, you will remember the first time you get someone that either is not qualified at all or that gets bumped because of height and weight. So you would rather not run into that and know ahead of time. Because then that's an uncomfortable conversation to have. You said all this wonderful stuff. I told you how much I weighed. You didn't think about it then, or you're telling me all this and then you missed that. So you want to make sure that you are definitely checking height and weight. Good job. Number four.
Can I
Miss-
do number 4?
Sure, yes.
Because I have, well, but only because was kind of in line with one of our questions before.
Okay.
So this is a female, it's 5'5", she's 100 pounds, so she's like 1 pound off. So we'll assume on a good day she's 102, okay?
You're gonna say that to her. So on a good day, you think you're more like 102 because those 2 pounds can make a difference. So yes.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I went with.
Mm-hmm.
On disability, know when their income, wants burial, and to leave money behind. She's 49, I forgot what her age was. 71, okay. So she's got COPD, which makes her graded, but she's also taken Camprel for alcohol, which makes her modified. So she'd be modified, right? Not graded, because the other medication would make her graded too.
So that's
So she automatically bumps to mod, not graded. Okay.
So
She
if
gonna be
she's
expensive.
currently taking it, that doesn't make her knocked out, because they ask, are you,
If she's currently taking it, it's
Hold on, let her
modified.
get it out. Go ahead, please.
am I
and thank you.
missing this? In the past 2 years, have you been diagnosed or received treatment for the use of alcohol or drugs? Isn't that treatment for the use of alcohol?
So
That
what
she's
is that?
currently taking in the knockout, or, oh, no, I'm looking at
There you
no
go.
wonder, okay.
It's
I'm looking on the wrong mod. I'm like, wait a minute,
It's
okay.
the medication that makes her modified. even
Right,
though
she
the
may have
COPD
answered no to that question. She may have answered yes to that question. Either way, that medication itself is gonna make her modified.
So it got,
If she would have answered yes, what's that, a modified response anyways, correct?
Mhm.
So yeah, if she answered yes, you would have known that from the health questions. If she answered it no, for whatever reason, because it may have been past 2 years that she was diagnosed or that they told her, but she's still currently taking the medication, then even though she could answer yes with a clean heart, the medication shows that technically that's a no.
Jeez.
Right.
So no matter what it is, if something bumps them up, it keeps it up no matter what. Okay.
And it's more bumping them down, less coverage, more money. But yeah, if it takes the modifier, you want to go with the safe option. If in underwriting they end up getting better rates, we'd rather that, but prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
And she gonna be expensive.
She gonna be expensive, yes.
She was
So,
$300 a month.
so when it came time for quoting, how did that, what were you thinking? How did you word and play with
Well,
that? Word play with that?
I didn't quite follow through with the high, mid, low, so I quoted her at like 25,000, because she wanted a burial and to leave money behind. So that was my reasoning, but listen to what you had said earlier. Now I probably would quote her more of a middle, probably more like a 15 or a 20. Because I mean, if she's on disability with no other income,
Right.
then she ain't gonna be able to do no $300 a month.
So more response blocking. So in
Right.
this case, we're gonna be telling her, well, hopefully we can get you approved, doubt bill, doubt bill, doubt bill. Hopefully we can get you approved. If we can, they're gonna see those medications and it's a little tough. That makes it harder for me, but hopefully we can even get you approved. I don't know what these rates are gonna be, but we can hopefully get you approved because that's a tough one. That's COPD and out. So we're gonna be dropping these little nuggets. So even if we can't get you, even if you can't pay for your whole funeral, or even if you can't do everything, hopefully we can get you approved so you can even just have something for the kids to know that you thought about them. I love that you're being proactive. That makes me so happy to be able to help you. So I'm really, really hoping we can get you approved for anything so that Johnny, Jimmy, and Mike don't have to not have anything or be starting from zero. So we know the cost of everything's going up, but hopefully we can even get you something so that they can have something to start with if they, if you can't cover everything, because I get it and I know things are expensive, but my goal is to help you put something in place so they know that you tried and it's a gift, whatever, but you want to prepare her for the fact that, honey, you're not going to be able to afford to pay for your funeral and leave money. You can't even pay for your funeral to be, yeah.
Would that
So-
be discussed in like module 4 after or 30?
After in 4, because she's told you what she wants towards the end of mod 4. She wants burial and cremation, but even when you're leaving out of 3, you can start building doubt from there because she's already, now you see, you have a whole lot to build doubt around because from the COPD, she has a lot going on. So you can give a couple, oh goodness, all right. So you don't want to make her feel like crap, but you also do want to get in her head that, these rates are going up, or if we can even get you approved, it may cost us a little more because of these things. Some companies won't even approve you, but the good thing is I'm not tied to any one company. I work for you. I can shop around for you, but you're making me work here and let her know. And some companies may not even that Camperall. Some companies may not be able to go in some directions because of that, but hopefully we can get you approved. Some companies even that wait, because there are some companies that even at 100 pounds, or 102 pounds would still be too small for coverage. So all of those things are things that you can build doubt around and be preparing her for these rates being high and hopefully at least getting something, being able to cover something. Even if you can't do it all, hopefully we can get you approved so you can have a little something for the kids. Yes? Mm-hmm. All right, I'm tired of saying mod because I don't even need to say mod anymore. Number 5, staying alive. Okay, Toy.
All right, so we got a smoker working still who only wants cremation. She said no to all the health questions. Both her diabetic medications are not on the prescription list. So for CoreGuard in, I guess, A of the
Option,
scenario, yeah, that would be level. Because the Cordart for hypertension does not affect her,
Coverage,
her coverage.
type of coverage, yep.
Yes, however, if it's the situation for B and she's doing the Cordart for angina, then it would be modified.
Beautiful. And now,
And then, of course, that one I didn't have height or weight to go on, because that's the one without the height and weight, so.
I did that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. Now, as far as,
For quote logic, for scenario A, I quoted her at 35,402, and I wasn't using the little chart, I was just, yeah.
yes, sir.
And then 25,000 for 87 and 15,000 for 48. And then I did for modified, if she wanted to go that route, then I did 15,000 at 100, 10,000 at 87, and 8,000 at 67.
Okay, not bad. She's still working, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
She wants cremation only, so,
And
you
nothing
know,
left
keep that, yeah, nothing left behind. And you can even, cause she'll probably go with the low option, but even, I know you're not trying to leave anything behind, but even to take into account the cost of living going up. And if they have a couple of dollars left and have dinner on you, great, but I know that that's not the goal. So, you know,
And
But-
then also, because I know cremation can be expensive too, that's why I still went to 15, because some cremations actually can cost you about 13,000.
and you want to give a high, you always want to give a little something, because she might be saying that now, but then hear what the rates are and like, oh, okay, well, we can go, I will go ahead and do that. You can also build doubt around the smoker, because you know those smokers' rates are going to be a little more expensive than if she was not a smoker. So you can, you know, bring that up as well. So, the smoker, I know you're smoking, you're able to answer no to the health questions, but sometimes it's smoking, especially with everything going on and breathing and everybody worrying about how you breathe and if you're breathing right and what your lungs are doing. So hopefully we can get you approved, but we'll see what we can do and you move into that. So you want to sprinkle that in there, you want to give them a little something. And then you keep it moving, or even age. You sound like you're 24, but on paper it says that you're 64. So, you know, I'm going to try to do everything that I can. You want to find a little somewhere to build out. Again, you don't want them to think that they are healthy as a horse. They don't need you. They're just listening to you. You want to make them feel like I'm working for you. It's not easy, because if it's easy for you, then they can do it with anyone. But good stuff. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Susan.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I
All
just
right.
have to tell you, I am like number 6. I'm just now getting it.
You want me to
which has
come
taken
back
a
to you?
minute.
I can
No,
come
that's
back.
okay.
Okay.
I was just looking at the information, which I realized, and I didn't write the stuff down because now my story did all that for me. So, but I mean, now more to analyze the information, which I didn't realize. I thought it was just, oh, check the prescriptions and they'll be good to go. But really, a retired doctor is going to have a larger income than someone on SSI with, you know, nothing to work with. So to me, that's more valuable information. To me, that adds to my thought process and my gathering of information. And there again, if you just don't want to leave anything behind, or you want, you know, you have children that you want to leave money for. So I guess I apologize, that's not the right answer, but I feel successful because now I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Sorry.
No apologies needed. Learning is a beautiful thing. If you
It
guys are
is.
not learning, then I have a bigger problem than I thought when I woke up. So no, that's fine. With this, it is non-smoker, on Social Security, burial, no funds left behind. Born in 49, 6'1", 335 pounds. He's 2 pounds. He's 2 pounds. He's 1/2 a sandwich past being left. So those 2 pounds, you want to ask them, have you used the bathroom yet for the day? Was that whatever? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But you want to ask the question, okay, well, on a good day, you think you might be 333, 332, because, you know, ask. If he's like, nope, 335, I was actually 385, and I just got to 335, well, then there it is. And then from there, you can congratulate them. Yes, that's a huge feat. Just ask him because those pounds do make a difference. Hopefully we can get you approved, but move. But you do want to, again, ask the questions if those 3 pounds or 2 pounds are going to be the difference between level and graded. And he says, no, actually, in the morning time, I think if I weigh in the morning, it is probably a little closer to 331, but I'm just so used to saying 335 because it took me so long to get here. You want to ask those questions. I'm doing this one because Ms. Karen said not to. So, amlodipine is for high blood pressure, which does not affect coverage, so that is level. Okay, so Chantix, who pulled this one up when they were going through the? Okay, so what do you have for me about this Chantix, Miss Toy?
Oh, it's absolutely modified because he is currently taking it. It's a smoking cessation, so he's modified. Even if we could get his weight down to 330, he's still modified because he currently taking Chantix.
Pull that Chantix up, cause I'm big to
Modified. It's just a smoker.
It just says smoker's
rate
rates,
in the
that's it.
last 12 months, which it is.
But-
He's only taking it.
But I did the 335 just because I wasn't sure. That's why I left it modified.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
so no, he
Because
is.
that's what, remember we were over there discussing, I was like, well, what if he is like, no, it's 335, so we were just doing modified. Just to be
So
safe.
335 wouldn't take him modified, it would take him graded.
Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah.
graded, there you go.
Graded. But the Chantix, because remember, let's get money. Level, graded, modified is the most extreme as far as cost and coverage, cost for coverage.
He would just be quoted smoker's rates as a smoker, even though he's not.
Right.
He'd still qualify as smoker's rates.
Right. So yes, he would still, however the questions are answered, whether he was level graded or modified, not in regards to the Chantix, but other health questions. In this scenario, he was able to answer no to all the health questions, and he was kidding about that 335. It was really only 332. He just forgot that the last time he weighed, he was actually 332. But it would be whatever his health questions allotted, which would be level, and it would be smokers' rates.
So I have a question around the weight thing. You know, when we ask them and they say, you know, they give you a round number, 335, and it needs to be 332. Can we say, you know, are you just rounding up? Could it be 332 to give them that better rate, or?
Not, you don't want to say to give you a better rate, but you can
No,
say,
I don't mean
Right.
that word. I mean,
yeah, you can, because you want to get clarification, and if the, are you rounding? Because those 3 pounds can make a difference between, with being able to get you covered. Would you say that you could be closer to 333, 332? And they'll tell you yes or no. Or sometimes you can give them, some people, I just ask, but you can give them on the rate chart, let's say that, how tall is he? 6'1"? 6'1", so would you say that you're between 130 and 333? Typically, they'll just give a simple yes, and then you move forward. And when you go into the application, that's when you put the specifics, because technically that does give you the answer you need to know how to move forward. But again, if it's a pound or two, you don't want that to be the thing that penalizes them, because we all know literally the time of day you weigh could have a huge impact.
Yeah, I just asked, since we know that the call is being recorded, you know, if it were to go back and be like, oh, well, they did say it was 335 on the recording, and then you went and probed and kind of coached them to go
No,
down. So that's why I wanted to make
Getting
sure.
clarification more than versus quote coaching them or getting clarification. Because again, if they say it's 335, okay, I asked you, said it's 335. Well, there it is. Thought you knew. Yes.
So my question is, during underwriting, okay, let's say they ain't been to the doctors in a while and they did lose 20 or 30 pounds, but on the MIB, it says that they were 385 pounds, but they had been to the doctor in a year, 2 years, and they lost all that weight. How does that work out?
So
Because that would be kind of ridiculous if they truly did lose all that weight and then that literally dropped them.
which can't happen. I've not had it to be where the MIB itself is like, nope, MIB said, because that is, information from who knows when. So they may ask them, but I don't know if it specifies on the MIB weight unless they were like obese morbidly obese,
Right.
then that may be documented, but I don't think just general weight would be on there.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
that'd be like,
But no, if they have, I mean, if they were and now they've lost it, or even previously, if they applied for coverage before and they were too heavy and now they're not, then again, if it is correct and it is actual, then it's fine. A pound or 2 pounds isn't going to, that's fine. But again, if it's 40 pounds, then you should be ashamed of yourself if you're trying to talk them down off of 40, like that makes no sense. Ethically, it's not right and it's just bad.
I just wanted to make sure that.
No.
I mean, I don't know if that ever happens or.
It hasn't, but I mean, good question, because that means you're thinking about it, and it's why we are doing what we're doing. So you're fine.
On number 7, I came up with their too old because he's a non-smoker, retired doctor.
Hold on 1 second. Did we finish
Oh,
6?
sorry.
I thought you had a question, so I'm sorry, Miss
No.
Hannah.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
do-
still next.
I'll take
Sorry.
you for 7, but let me make sure that we are done on 6. So, smokers rates, height and weight, we already touched on that. You can build doubt around that, because even, we're really close to that, so I just want to make sure. So, some companies are a little funny about the height and weight. Again, that is a perfect place to build doubt. Okay. So quotes wise, I would take him, what did he say? Burial, no funds left behind, he's on Social Security. So, yeah, high, middle, and a low. Again, building doubt, I'll probably give him like a $92 something, a $75 something, and a $58 something. Whatever amount of coverage goes with that. It's more so that monthly that you're looking at when you're pulling quotes. We don't care what they said they wanted. We know that we want to give them monthly premium amounts that are going to be realistic and something that they can manage and something that's easy to swallow, or again, high that make a woo, and medium. And the medium's probably the hot spot. Something that you think that they should be able to do, or maybe make a little bit of you might want to give up a pack of cigarettes to be able to get it, but you want the medium to be like a medium high and then a low. But yeah, it's the monthly that you're looking at, regardless of what they said, and looking at those monthly, because by mod 3, you have an idea. Mod 4, you have an idea of what those rates are going to be, because you can go in and start clicking around. But depending on what those premiums are going to be how you response block for the amount of coverage that you're looking at for them that falls within that monthly premium, that range of monthly premiums. So that's going to help you know how to kind of already start pitching what you're going to sell without giving them the quotes already. Make sense? Yes. Okay, good. All right, Miss Hannah, it's all you.
Number 7, okay? He was born, well, it's a non-smoker, a retired doctor, burial and leave funds behind. That's what he wants to do. He's not so bad on the height and weight at 6 foot, 300 pounds, okay? But what really knocks him out, and knocks him out really, really good, is that his age. We only go up to 74, all right? But he was born
We
in
go to 80,
1937.
74 is the highest you can do for accidental death. He's qualified. He's level.
How old is he?
He's
Oh, wait.
74.
Is he
Because we
74?
go to
I pulled him up at
81.
84. I pulled him up at 84 years old.
He's 84.
Hold on, which one?
1937.
So we go between
47, 57,
50
67.
and
Hold on, 77, 87, 97, 07,
Through 80.
97, 07, then 17. Okay, yeah, he's 80. All right.
He's
So-
over 80.
All right,
Yeah.
yes.
He's 84.
God.
he's
yeah.
84.
Poor little dude.
Too
He's
old.
She said, Miss Hannah said, what really knocks him
I
out.
don't know why I thought that was 57 when I was looking at it originally.
Good job, Miss Hannah. Good
Yes,
call.
ma'am. You called
And
out.
nice
I see you about to
delivery.
get signed up with me.
Oh, 20 years, like, great,
So I was
great,
taking
great.
him all the way through
Great.
underwriting to get
Okay.
that. Ooh,
He was
you would have
20 years
never
younger.
done that again.
Okay.
You would have never done that again. But yes, and also we do have the benefit of agency block, which you guys will see tomorrow. I'm gonna take you through. I'll share my screen so you can see what agency block looks like, and I'll make sure that everyone has access. Miss Madison, if you can text me what time you are I'll text you after class. I want to get some times from you. Okay, last but not
One
least,
question on the age.
yeah.
Sorry. So on the prequel, don't they already know that they're this certain age and not even bother with filtering them over?
They should not come through, but let's say his wife did it for him, or who knows what, or someone, the age was wrong and somehow it came over, then that would be knocked out. So from the time you see that they are, okay, so I want to confirm, or let's say it said the wrong age and you confirmed it, he's like, no, that's supposed to be 37, it said 73 instead of 37, and then you know, okay, well, unfortunately, or again, I say unfortunately because I want you guys to understand that. Unfortunately, we can't move forward, but for them, so in order to qualify for these state-approved home expense programs, you have to be between the age of 50 and 80. So what I'm going to do is look into some options and have one of my coworkers give you a call back. Let it go. All right. Last but not least, I'm like, why don't I have more people to call on? Because they're far away. Okay, so non-smoker, we'll go through this so you guys can head out of here because I think that you have.
Brain dead enough?
Yeah, hopefully you guys have had a full day of learning, but let's get through this last one. Non-smoker, working part-time at Walmart, unsure of which option they want to go with. This is a male born 1960. 5'10", 325 pounds, no to all health questions, but has major back pain. Taking a bunch of medicine for pain. Narcan.
My
Back-
God.
Yeah. Right. So Narcan in situation A
It's level.
for back spasms and a RCAN.
Yeah.
I heard that scrolling. I already know that. I'm
She's like, what are you
scrolling
doing
for a
that
long time, and it's an N, so yes. So Narcan for back spasms would be level. If he is using Narcan, if
He
he's
is.
using Narcan for alcohol dependency, then he's modified. So,
Level for A. There's two different situations. A is Narcan for back spasms. Level B is Narcan for alcohol dependency.
But he's taking Narcan for both reasons.
That's what I
These
thought we
are
were-
that's what
different
I thought.
situations.
Different
That's why we
scenarios.
have A and B, just like in the previous ones where we get an A and B. For situation A, it's level. For situation B, it's modified.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I took it as that he was
No.
taking it for both reasons.
no, A, he's taking it for back spasms, and then in situation B, he's taking it for alcohol dependency.
Gotcha.
So in the wait, there's more. So in situation A, the Narcan would not cause him to be graded or modified, but how tall is he and how much does he weigh?
It makes me bring it.
You absolutely.
He's graded
So
just
in
based on his height and
situation
weight. Yeah.
A, he would be graded due to his height and weight. In situation B, he would be modified due
Based
to the
on his
Narcan. Yes?
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay? You good? That air just cut on. That means it's time to go.
I know, I'm like.
It's night time. Okay, so, but no, everyone's clear on that. That height and weight, regardless, is going to make him, okay. And then that modified supersedes the height and weight.
The way I look at all of these scenarios is the first question you're gonna ask him is, what is your height and weight? And that's automatically gonna say, okay, is he level, modified, or grade right off the bat?
Or
And
by
then
that.
everything else pieces in.
And you just want to make sure that you're aware of that. So if you have to write notes to yourself, and make sure that you guys are taking notes throughout these calls. Pull up a open Word document. We'll actually talk about it because it's a template that you guys will have once you roll out on the floor. But make sure that you're taking notes, keeping up with what's going on, because what you would hate is for them to have said that in the front, you knew it at the front, and then when you go to quoting, because he said back spasms, you got excited and now you're quoting them level, and now you end up with your foot, that's a definite foot in the mouth situation, because you set yourself up for that. He told you all the information that was needed and you just didn't remember, and now you gotta do dancing on during underwriting. So, as far as rates, he's working part-time. He's not sure which, that whole 100, 70, 50, the general range would be where I'd take him. All right? Or maybe 90, 70,
Walmart.
right?
Yeah,
90.
Hour
So,
25.
yeah, well, be mindful. You got your heads are in the right place, which
Okay,
is good.
sir, you get 1,500 for
Well, I mean, he could have been retired earlier.
And just keeps working, right.
Bored,
Right, I mean-
so I guess we don't know.
Well,
we will know.
you will, yes, by the time you get in that situation, you'll know why he's working. Okay, so
Maybe
you
just
just
something to do.
wanted to keep
Yes.
yourself young, because if you don't use it, you lose it. You don't want to sit home and go crazy. But those are the questions you're asking. Like, that's literally the purpose of mine too. We're building rapport, but you want to get to know what kind of money, do you have money? You working at Walmart because you need to pay for your medicine? All right.
You don't wanna stay home and go
You
stir
talk about
crazy.
mobile home. That makes sense.
Okay, beautiful souls, thank
They
you guys
are
for your
so nice.
presence today, thank you for adding to the team, thank you for being here, for listening, and thank you for leaving. Good night.
There's the door. Get
You're
out.
welcome.
Good night. Oh, thank you, Miss Andrea, I will see you guys tomorrow at 9:30.
9:30?
I'll be
Killing me with that.
What we're gonna do, 9:45?
The next week you'll be here at 9:00,
8:30.
and if you're smart, you'll be here at 8:30, going forward, so yeah, I better put
I got it in my head already that it's 8:30, not even saying that.
Yeah, 8:30. If I'm here at 8:30, I feel like I'm running late. I'm never here after 8:30.
I got this whole new lifestyle plan that I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna be one of those people that get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym, go home, shop, hang out.
My
I wanna
son
be
is everything. All jokes aside, that's a big deal, and it will change your life.
I know, I wanna be like.
I can tell you, some people though just aren't built that way. I've always
It's
been
about
first
you-
shift. No, it's not
But you
about
can
mindset.
afford.
I have
work
gotten
second.
up and done all kinds of
Hit
things,
in
and
2
whatnot,
times on that.
and my brain just does not function. It
You
don't
have
matter
to-
how
you can
early I go to
reprogram your
bed.
brain, like all
I've done it
jokes
for
aside.
years.
Okay.
Is that good?
Hit
Years
it again.
since high school.
No, on the.
You get me up before 7
On
o'clock
the-
in the morning, my brain ain't functioning.
Right here?
There is nothing in the world that can
The mouse
prepare my
pads
body
on
for
the
it.
thing.
Okay, here, so you can
The
take-
mouse
so you
pad?
just Beat up, set,
Yeah.
till 7:04.
That's
But
what I can do.
Where
it
is
too.
it? I'm happy to do it, but where is it? What are you
That's
talking?
not gonna be right away. It'll be at least a
I'm saying
month
good
before
Yeah.
I become
You
better.
gotta learn
It says-
today, Miss
Watch
Hannah.
it then.
So
It says,
it always depends
where?
on what time I like.
I did, twice.
You gotta move it.
oh, 1, 2.
No, but
To
you see
work,
how the mouse is on the screen here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's it. We gotta put the,
Okay, now scroll up to the-
scroll up to the end to do it. Thank you.
Once I get in the
I'll be able to
pattern,
do it
I
next
can
time.
get
There you
I
go.
have always been in that.
Boom.